Good evening, friends, and welcome to day 183 of a poem a day for 2026. I'm playing catch up again. This is a recording for what would have been Thursday, the 2nd of July. I've been caught up enjoying time with my partner. I said today is Saturday for me. And I've not been online very much at all, so I apologise. But I'm here to record 3, possibly 4 poems this evening, to take us up to I'll either stop tonight or record for tomorrow for Sunday as well, but to bring us back up to date. I can see that videos are still getting some views, so thank you for that. But let's dive straight in to Thursday and see what we have. So, 2nd of July, we had Amelia Earhart by Mandy Coe. And our blurb reads as follows. Amelia Earhart was an American pilot who, in 1932, became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. On the 2nd of July 1937, she disappeared during an attempt to fly around the globe, losing radio contact and vanishing somewhere over the Pacific. No trace was ever found of her plane. So this is Amelia Earhart by Mandy Coe. Fear are paper tigers. A ribbon in her hair and mud on her dress, Amelia climbs too high. Then, like any child in a tree, blinks at the dizzying ground and sky. Amelia spreads the map on her knees to light the Atlantic with her torch. She taps the fuel gauge, adjusts her course. The stars seem near enough to touch. Amelia's red Vega roars around, a world of cloud and sun and time. And whenever a child defeats her fears, Amelia still climbs. Truly brilliant woman. I don't know a great deal about Amelia Earhart. I've done a little bit of learning through some of my true crime podcasts. I believe it was most recently. I'm playing catch up with it. I apologise. It's been a long day of roller derby today. I'm currently catching up with My Favourite Murder, Georgia Hardstock and Karen Kilgariff, 2 fantastic hosts. And I think I'm just starting, or I'm a month or 2 into 2025, so I'm still a bit behind. And I think fairly recently to where I am, they have one of their stories has covered sort of the life and achievements and disappearance of Amelia Earhart, and it was incredibly interesting. It was also very sad, of course. Her disappearance was just devastating and so confounding. But I really liked that imagery of, what was the line? When a child defeats her fears, Amelia still climbs. I love that. The thought that in the actions and achievements of children and kids still reaching for their goals, Amelia lives on. Um, on the way home from my hairdresser's appointment the other day, um, I had a very talkative taxi driver, and he, big football guy, was telling me super excited about the World Cup, really enjoying it. Um, was very excited about the England game that was on that afternoon. I think it was Wednesday. Um, but also that he was really sad because he's an Nottingham Forest fan, Forest till I die kind of thing. Um, and he used to go to every Nottingham Forest game with his best friend. He grew up with him, and this lad passed away. I think he said last year or the year before, very unexpectedly. Um, and he still goes to visit this lad's parents every Sunday. Goes over theirs and has dinner with them and spends time with his parents. Um, and it sounds like it really kind of shook their whole community. Um, and he says that he's very upset not being able to enjoy the World Cup with his friend. Um, but he was looking forward to watching the football with his kids. Um, and he didn't say how many kids he had, but he said his eldest daughter, I think he said about 11, was, in his words, football mad, loves football, and she absolutely loves going to see Nottingham Forest play with her dad. Um, so he's really happy that that's something he gets to share with her. Um, he doesn't get to go and see his team with his best mate anymore, but he's now creating new memories with his kid. Um, and I said to him, I was like, I think that's a really beautiful thing, and I'm so glad that you get to share that with your child. Um, and at this point, we're sat outside my flat. We've been in his car for a good couple of minutes, and he has another job come through. Um, and I see him accept it on his phone. Um, and he says to me, he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I've for taking up so much of your time. And I was like, please don't apologise. I was like, I really appreciate you um, sharing something so personal and sharing the story of your friend with me. I was like, it's clear that it's something really important to you. Um, and yeah, that I was like, that means a lot to me that you've shared that with me. So thank you. Um, and he seemed genuinely sort of touched that was the approach that I'd taken, and that I wasn't kind of being dismissive. I don't know. He struck me as the kind of guy who might talk quite openly about this to people, and maybe has been dismissed before, which is really sad because grief is hard. We've talked a lot about grief before, um, and I said to him, no, absolutely not. I was like, I really appreciate that. I was like, thank you. Um, and I said to him, and I genuinely believe this. And I said, by talking about those we've lost, I was like, we keep them alive. I was like, we keep their memories alive, and we keep them. And I think I said to him, I was like, we keep them alive in our hearts. And he had this really big smile on his face, and he said that's absolutely why I do it. And we had a bit of a moment where we both sort of went, um, and I thanked him for a lovely ride, and I told him to keep safe and to enjoy the match and everything. Um, and he thanked me, and he went on his way, and I went on mine, and um, yeah, it was what started off as a bit of a peculiar interaction, kind of somebody sort of rather unexpectedly trauma dumping on me in a sort of a quote professional setting because he was a service provider and I was a customer, actually turned into a really quite sweet moment. And you ultimately you don't know. We can't predict it when grief is going to hit us and when we're going to feel like we need to talk about things. And it was obviously heavy on his mind. Football obviously meant a lot to him. Um, I mean, roller derby means so much to me, and I get it. Um, and for him, the sport and his friend are intrinsically interwoven. And yeah, I guess it was all just a bit heavy. I'm really glad that he felt able to talk to me. And I hope he enjoyed the game. From what I hear, we won. Um, I think they were playing the Dominican Republic of Congo. I think it was that game. But yeah. So the too long don't read is grief is hard. um, and talking about people is not only okay but encouraged. And Cass says it's okay to look after yourself. Please look after yourself and those around you. Things are tough, and if we can be kind to each other, then maybe they might not seem quite so tough. And if this is where you pause for today and you don't go on to watch any other videos today, then I thank you for joining us, and I hope that when we get down to it, we all have a very good